this old 3V rod. So I've already had and pre-prepped the bike. I've drained the oil out of it and put the plug back in. Made sure that my plug was tight so I wouldn't forget when I put the oil back in and have a mess all over my floor. So what we also done is we went ahead and got started on this thing, and I loosened the screws up right here on the cover so we can take the screws out of here. And there's my helper's hand, and then you take that off there. Now with the cover being off, this is where your bleeder screw is. It's up here on the top if you go to bleed your brakes. We got 3 more bolts right here that we need to loosen up.
Bleed your clutch.
And I'm sorry, bleed the clutch, not the brakes. Oh my goodness, cut me off. I didn't even have one yet. But we'll take these 3 out, loosen them up, and we'll pull this off and let you take a look at it. Okay, I put my helper to work. As you can see, he's busy taking the next 3 bolts out.
Hey, I'm Craig, by the way.
Yeah, that's Craig over there. Me, I get to be stupid advisor for today. I'm Rodney. Alright, there's number 2. And now we're working on number 3.
Hey Rod, got a question for you. How come you don't have any Torx sockets?
Yeah, I got them. They're just over there in the drawer. Okay, now that just pulls right up out of there, okay? It comes straight up. It's got a little O-ring in there. It's going to be a little suction, so pull her out of there. There you go. Now, when you pull that out of there, you see you got your clutch cable still attached to it, alright? Now, when you actuate your clutch lever, your little center pin here pushes out and goes in right here on this pin here on the inside.
Okay.
Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to wrap this up with the rag, and we're going to tie it back up so it won't be dangling in our way. Okay, as you can see, we wrapped this thing up here, and just took a little bungee cord to hold it up here on the back side so it's up out of our way and won't get in our way. Now we'll proceed to take all the bolts loose on the cover so we can get that off there. Just remember, be careful when you pull this off so you don't rip your gasket on the back side of it. We'll take a look at it when we get this thing off.
Is there any certain Torx sequence or just all the way off?
Just take it all the way off for right now. We'll use the Torx sequence when we put it back on. Alright, now we've removed all the bolts in the cover. Now Craig, he's going to take that cover and just ease it right on out of there, nice and easy. And there's your gasket. The gasket stayed right up on the housing. And now you can reach up in there and just grab that gasket and pull that gasket right up off there. Be careful with it so you don't damage it in any way. Alright, now you just need to take them, set them off to the side, and then we'll get started in on the clutch. The first ring off, that comes off. Now you need to pull out your button, and the button just pulls out of there. It's kind of a little bit of a tricky thing to get a hold of, but it'll come right out of there. Okay, now that you got that out of there, inside on top of that nut, as you can see, there's another snap ring. You take that snap ring off also. Now that gives you access to your nut. Okay, now we've already busted the nut loose. We're just going to finish running it off there so you can see. Make sure you got plenty of air pressure built up in your tank when you put that impact gun on there. Make sure you got it adjusted up there about as high as you can get it, because I think it took me about 120 psi in the tank to hit the gun, and held it for probably about 4 seconds, and she broke loose and started spinning. So go ahead, Craig, take her off. And there you go. It's just that simple. She'll run right off there. Okay, now the nut's off. Okay, now when you go to pull out that basket, remember, you want to make sure that you keep everything in the clutch basket itself, in the hub, there. Do not pull that out, just pull the inner workings out. Okay? And right there, it's just that simple. You just grab it and you pull it out real nice and easy. Bam! There it is.
Okay, Emerald.
Old clutch is out. Emerald. And now let me grab the new one and we'll put it in. Okay, we got the nut off, as you remember. All we did was just reached in there like that. We pulled the yellow one out. Now we're going to push the new slipper clutch in, and it just goes straight in there. Look at that. The splines, we even got the splines lined up on the first try. Now, here's something that I want you to take note of. If you decide to do this yourself, where the outer indexing plate goes in, it will not go all the way back into the basket, okay? It's going to dead end, and there's going to be a little gap right here. So if you think you got to push it all the way in, beware, you don't have to. All right, now we got the nut started back on.
Red Loctite.
Red Loctite's what I used, and I am using the same nut. Hello, I don't see a problem why you should have to replace the nut. I really don't. So I'm going to use the same nut. I'm just going to add a little Red Loctite on it and run her home again. Go ahead, Craig, hit her. Oh, did you see that? That spring went flying. That is what you don't want to do. Okay, the nut is in there real good and tight, and Craig's working on getting the spring put back in there, that snap ring that is, to make sure that that nut don't come out of there. So, as you can see,
Oh shit.
not an easy task. Okay, there. He just pushed it on there. Now she's in. Make sure it's in all the way. So you take a little screwdriver, take it in there, make sure she's seated. Okay, it's seated in there real nice and good.
Yep, spins all the way around. Spins
Then
all
we're good to go. She spins around there and doesn't come out of there.
Good.
Alright, onward to the next step. Next step would be putting the button back in. She just slides right up in there. Here we go again, another little snap ring. So we'll get this one up in there too.
Son of a... You might want to shut the camera off. Shut the camera
Oh
off.
well, we'll get her in there. Sometimes an extra pair of hands doesn't hurt. Okay, we managed to get the other one in there. Second hand helped out quite a bit. So now what we're going to do is we're going to proceed in and clean it out the outside here. Make sure it's all real nice and cleaned off. Get the gasket put back on there and put the cover back on. And when we get ready to tighten the cover back down, we'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, we have the cover back on, and there's two studs on there to put the gasket on. If the gasket won't stay on, the little trick that I found out that you can do is just take a little bit of the old Indian head gasket shellac compound, just put a little bit on your finger and just tap, just a little bit, just tap it on there to hold that gasket in place.
Just tap, tap, tap.
Put the
Tap,
cover
tap, tap.
on, put 4 bolts on there just to hold it in place, and then go ahead and start putting in all your other screws. Now when you get to that point, don't tighten them down all the way, and you need to get your manual and go to the tightening sequence on this cover, and then follow that tightening sequence, and we'll be back after we get her all nice and tight. Okay, all 14 bolts tightened down in sequence to 85 inch-pounds. See? Just want to show you, I did use my torque wrench on this thing. Alrighty, so now we're going to go ahead and undo our rag here so we can get the actuator put back in. We'll be right back as soon as we get that done. Okay, we put the clutch actuator back on the cover. 3 bolts, tightened down, 89 inch-pounds per specs in the book. Now Craig, all he's got left to do is just put the clutch actuator cover on there, and we're all done. So 3 more bolts, and that's your slipper clutch install. I would like to give out a little shout out here to Max on 1130cc.com. Could not have done this without you. Bud, thanks, appreciate it.